Welcome,
rec-
welcome.
I recognize that music.
Yeah,
Surprise.
I hope we didn't need approval for that one.
All good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back after the holidays. How's everybody feeling?
Good.
Feeling good.
Glad
Yeah.
to be back. 2022. Let's go.
All right. Well, we've got someone new here on the chat that we would like to introduce today. We are joined by Peter Evans, our Chief Platform Officer, and I'll let him explain what that means.
Dr.
Yeah.
Peter Evans.
Yeah,
Dr. Peter Evans.
Thank you. So, Lisa, yeah, I have not been on this show, but I've watched it and have been behind the scenes at record shops since, I would say, March, April. So I've seen the whole platform evolve and have been contributing where I can to doing that. So excited to be on your show. And in fact, I've been a key driver behind the whole Twitch programming. I really think there's huge value in engaging in this way. So excited to see that we've been able to do so much since November, I guess.
Yeah. And so just so everybody who may not know Peter, he also goes by DJ Pro Host. So you've seen him in the comments and messaging and sending all his cheers emojis.
Yeah. So I do a little bit of DJing. So I got some experience on Twitch doing that. So I found it a great platform to contribute and enhance what we're doing, right?
Yeah. So we wanted to bring you on today to talk about what we did last week. I can't believe it's only been a week. So last week we hosted our first ever Record Shop Studio event with the Disco Fries and Lena Leon, where we produced a track and we all got to be co-producers.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you were there, Obie, but the rest of us did.
So much fun. Gosh.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, the origins of this go way back to really the Todd Terry drop. And that was a fantastic challenge. It created a lot of excitement. And I think we just collectively got to thinking about how do we extend that and take full advantage of both what Record Shop can offer and be able to do a collab, right? I mean, our remit here is community, and how do we engage the community? So we found a willing artist, the Disco Fries, who brought in another artist, Leon, who's got a fantastic, background and vocal capabilities. And we designed a challenge around that. We wanted it to be a low bar and not, cost a lot from the user perspective. So we picked the Love Card, which I thought was appropriate. It has a pretty high mint count of 1,800 and something. And the price stayed pretty reasonable. I think it only got up to about $450, which was double what it was trading at. But it made the bar to get in and participate pretty low. And we're super excited that so many people joined. And Lisa, you've been keeping track and tabs on all of the folks that joined, because we set it up in stages, right? We started with a social challenge because we got to get some engagement from the community, and that's always fun. So we asked them to post to Twitter, right? And that created the eligibility threshold, right, which we were trying to get to. I think we got 314 or something people actually become eligible for the actual live event.
Somewhat close to that. Yeah. In the chat, we had well over 300. I can't remember the actual number off the top of my head.
So that was the first stage, is to get people to be eligible. Then we had this live event, right, last week. And the idea there was to have people actually engage and give feedback in real time to the Disco Fries and Leah Leon as they were developing their track. And that worked incredibly well in terms of how we did that. So we created a private Discord channel that only those that had passed the first phase of the challenge were eligible to join. But we did this all live on Twitch. So we also had a lot of people join and participate on Twitch. So I think the total number there was over 900 unique visitors over the 2-hour period, which is pretty amazing. I think that's a record for us. on Twitch. So that was cool. And this was during the break, so we weren't sure how many people would show up, but we were super thrilled that many did actually join.
And we were very hopeful on our minimum requirement of 250.
Yeah. Well, what we did is we staged it. So if what was it? Less than 100 joined, it would be a common card. And we have designed this so that both the collectors and the artists would benefit. So the more fans that joined, the more coin values would be associated with the card. And the artists also get a tranche of cards. They get 20% of the cards. So as the more cards that or more fans that join, the more cards that we produce as the final minted collectible. And so we were able to push that to 250, which was our cutoff for making this a rare card. So that was super exciting that we were able to meet that. And so the final minted card, which is in process now, the artists have to go and take what we did last week, and they're going back into the studio to create the final mastered track.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. I just couldn't believe all the people in there, all the excitement in the Discord channel. It was just so really cool to be a part of it. Watching them produce the music live is just really, really inspiring. Actually had me in the studio the next day, like, man, I got to make something cool too now. Yeah, I got to do something cool.
Well, what was interesting too is that we weren't expecting music professionals or people with deep expertise. We just wanted people who would listen, were engaged. And the Disco Fries have got cards on the market, and so people knew about them, and they're pretty active. And so this was an opportunity to actually help them. And the comments were great. We had serious comments. These were more a cappella, and how do you put distortions on the voice? All sorts of, I think we had
even the name of the song.
So remind me, Lisa, I think we had over 2,000 comments.
We had 2,100 votes. So people actually voting and contributing to the ideas. And then we had 2,200 comments on top of that.
Yeah.
Just during 2 hours.
2 hour period. So do you want to roll the video and show people what... We've cut down the video. The full video is up on Twitch, so you could watch the full extended. But we've got a 2-minute cut down version that we just produced. So if you want to roll that, you could.
How long was the whole event?
Excuse me?
How long did the whole event take?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, it was
enjoyed
really fun.
The whole 2 hours.
Needed more cowbell. All right, let's play the clip, and we'll be right back.
Little recap.
We are live. We are live.
Oh my goodness, we're live. This is amazing.
We did it.
Oh man, people voting. I see votes for lasers. I saw votes for cowbells. Legato up sort of deal. Guys, there's so many options.
All right. You got 2 options coming in Discord right now.
Shanahan says, I took a shot every time Danny saved. Now I'm wasted.
You're getting crushed right now. It's like 53-3, 55-4.
Oh, they just like it unaltered. They don't want to hear.
No.
Cool. Everyone dig the melody coming in the second half.
There was one piece of feedback I just wanted to read real quick.
Yeah.
We have a second Lena Leon voice soaring. Soprano, breathy, just tones, no syllables above her singing.
Maybe an altar boy octave? Is that?
Maybe.
Oh.
We could try that.
Shit. Yeah, let's.
All right, so let's play it, and I'm going to put up the vote. Green is going to be Call My Name. Purple is going to be Won't Be the Same. And red will be Call My Name, da, da, da. Awesome point here. TGF in Discord said music industry won't be the same after this.
Oh,
so
snap.
Oh,
valid song title suggestion.
Da 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 so bad to give in to feeling loved. I can't help that I'm craving you way too much. Going crazy, we don't even have to touch. Cause when it leaves your lips, I'll lose myself in it. Even when I'm alone and it's 4 a.m.
Wow. So awesome.
It was
Hey,
so
and it's
wicked.
not finished yet, right? So
know.
as I mentioned, they're going back into the studio. They're going to master this, and then we're going to have the final track reveal in a couple weeks. And the folks that were engaged and participated are going to get that rare card. And then we've got some things in the works to get the word out and publicize this.
Yeah, I think I loved when we think back on those comments. And sorry if this was mentioned just in the video, I couldn't hear it. But one thing I loved is one of the people who were playing along actually recommended the song title that ended up being used. Right,
Yeah.
so that was something that Disco Fries had not thought of. So someone recommended it. Won't be the same. And what was their comment?
Which came from the lyrics, but also had a broader meaning, which is the record industry won't be the same. And one of the things we're trying to do here is innovate, right? And think about ways to drive engagement, to think about how you leverage NFTs in that process that reward the collectors and the artists. And so we're pretty excited about this, in rolling this out and doing it with other artists as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And I just posted, if anybody else who's watching right now is still in the Disco Fries chat, I just posted a question in there about listing the co-production credits. So we're still waiting to hear some feedback from you all. Because again, we're learning we don't have all the answers and we can ask for feedback, and you guys provide some really great feedback. So
yeah, and in fact,
excited.
I don't know if I emphasize that. Not only do the participants get the track, but they're also going to get a video of the collaboration, and they're going to get co-production credits in the bundled NFT. So this NFT is going to have multi faces to it and a ton of rich content associated with it to, memorialize what took place, but also, share, because this will be on the blockchain and it'll get traded in the future, and it'll be pretty exciting to see where this goes. So we'd love to do more of these and think about other ways to engage, because this is really part of this broader creator economy concept, and thinking about how do we take Record Shop, the amazing artists we have on the platform, have them engage directly with the community. And I think if you ask the Disco Fries, did this collaboration make that track better? I bet they would say, yes, it did. So that's pretty exciting, because a lot of artists go off into the studio, and I think both Obie and Chris can attest to this. It's a creative process, but can be pretty isolating, right? And so opening it up and allowing others to engage is a pretty neat and innovative way to drive. Maybe, not, you don't want to do every track like this, but some of them
it's
pretty cool.
It's a different beast, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It seemed, at least from what I saw, to be a fun experience for the Disco Fries with their fans. So I can imagine doing a song, on a regular basis, maybe like once or twice a year with your fans is pretty cool. And we probably have enough artists that are willing to do this on Record Shop to do one per month or something.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
You were telling me we wanted to shoot for, right?
Yeah, at least once a month. And it doesn't always have to be a track production. It could also be, for example, a visual artist that works with a music artist to create something. It could be a remix. It could even be a video that they're producing. Anything where, I wouldn't call this crowdsourcing.
Where creative collaboration makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Where creative collaboration makes sense, and you want that direct feedback. I recall, in fact, I think Chris was the one who did the interviewed the Disco Fries early on, and they said one of the things they loved about Record Shop is the immediacy of the feedback. Whereas when you go and produce a track, you put it on those Web 2 platforms, it can take days, weeks, months to get feedback from your fans. Whereas in this case, you get that immediate reaction.
Well, and super cool for someone like me who doesn't do any music production to see behind the scenes, understanding it a little bit more. And I think that brings a lot more appreciation too, because the three of you all make music and I don't. So it brings a lot of appreciation to what you do and how much work goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that watching it.
Those guys make it look easy.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
make it look really easy.
They make it look really easy. And I imagine most, or maybe I don't know most or not, but a lot of people had never even experienced like what does Ableton look like? Like, how do you turn on distortion? You know, and again, they made it look a lot simpler than it really is most of the time. But like the whole,
I bet you they turn some people on to want to do it. In fact, I could have sworn I popped into Discord and someone said that the experience made them want to open Ableton again.
yeah, I saw that too.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So people, I saw that a few times actually, and someone even proposed that, you know, we work out some deal with Ableton or FL Studio because they were interested into it.
Yeah.
It's really
Frankly, I don't know if this has been done in this kind of way before, but it's pretty cool that, like I mentioned, the origins of this going back to the Todd Terry, the fans received the remix, which is pretty cool, but they didn't actually participate in the creation of that remix. And so this opens up a new avenue for that. As you produce music, there's just tons of choices. And so having that feedback in real time to help you make those choices, I think can be pretty valuable.
There was a comment in the chat that says that the Boney said that they're making new previously unreachable fans, and I think that's spot on. You know, it's a different way of engaging, and I think one of the things that we're coming to terms to, not even just the record shop, I think the whole industry is kind of learning from the movement around Web3 trends, is that it's not necessarily a matter of just moving big groups of existing fans over to Web3 kind of thinking. It's kind of a resetting of expectations and a building of new fan bases that operate in this mode. And maybe you bring some of the old fans over, but for the most part, you're creating new fan relationships because it's a whole new way of interacting that has not really existed before.
Yeah, and the tools now are accessible, right? Like 5 years ago, Twitch really didn't exist as this medium. And when you think about what we did, we used 4 platforms. We did the Record Shop Marketplace, we used Twitch, we used Twitter, and
Discord.
Yeah, and Discord as well. So we used 4 platforms to be able to do this, and those platforms really weren't available now. So if you take these all and bring them together, you can really create these experiences at a pretty reasonable cost too, right? These platforms.
It's a reasonable cost, and I think what I find fascinating is that you can't, for legal reasons and regulatory reasons, we can't create NFTs, or rather, I won't, because of the regulatory and legal risks around it, to create NFTs, let's say, that represent partial ownership and royalty streams, or partial ownership in things that you have no involvement in creating. But with Record Shop Studio, you're creating partial ownership in something that you did have a hand in creating, which I think skirts around the concerns around having that split, kind of royalties, because it's a group project in a sense, and as long as you can plausibly say that you were in there and had something to do with the creation, then it doesn't meet the criteria for security, that would be a speculative investment, because I think it's the Howey test or something like that. Like, in order to qualify as a regulated investment, regardless of what you call it, I think one of the fundamental definitions is that it goes up and down or in value, and you had nothing to do with the work that went into it.
That makes sense.
So fascinating. Yeah, I think it's very, very innovative, and hats off to you guys for coming up with it. I don't know who exactly came up with it. That's fantastic.
Not me.
That was a creation, and Peter's. How did you come up with it, Peter? Like, where did this
Well, you know,
idea generate from?
I've been working on platforms for a long time. So I've been interested in how platforms, engage with basically at scale and provide that input. And so there's lots of examples of crowdsourcing platforms. There are also these new platforms like Rally that are trying to leverage social tokens, which are pretty interesting. So watching what was going on and then having been involved in Record Shop from the get-go and being involved in the drops and the challenges, it just made sense to push this and see where we can go, because I think Record Shop is a collectibles marketplace. It's also an innovation sandbox, right? We can explore, like Obie said, we don't know all the answers. We're exploring the space. There are all these new tools that are available to us, and really leveraging them to their full extent. So, I'm very excited to explore, track creation, but also remixes, visuals, anything that involves the creative process in which an artist would be willing to open up. Actually, it was a couple months ago, I watched the Cruella, the two sisters, and they had Ableton open, and they had a ton of people watching them. And it just struck me that the fans could chat, but they didn't really participate in the creation process. And then they didn't get to own the track in the end. And so I kind of was excited to be able to test pushing this whole ownership model. And so people talk about the creator economy, but also the ownership economy. And I think those are kind of when you think about the big picture, that's what we're exploring here.
Mm-hmm. Especially when we're going into, like, I'm in Canada, we're going back into lockdown. The experience economy now is kind of limited to this box on my desk. So,
well, we can engage so many people. I bet if we went back and looked at the 250 folks that participated in that, they came from all over, right? I mean, a lot of them were in North America, but we have fans on Record Shop from all over the world.
Yeah, we had people. Well, we must have had some people in Europe because they were saying, "Oh, it's 3:00 in the morning here. Wow. I'm only going to log in and
yeah."
Really wanted to get their hand in that track.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Babbage just said hello from Europe.
Yeah, there you go.
Welcome, Robert.
Hey.
He's one that you should activate for this thing.
That would be cool.
See if you're on my list.
Acid tracks with the 303.
There you go. Hey, that would be great. Get some drum machines and some other, synths going. There's some people with some amazing studios.
We're signing you up now, Robert. So if you're ready.
He says that's possible. That's great.
You're on my list to talk to. Peter, another Peter at the office. Office has hooked me. He's given me a list of names to pursue. So
awesome.
We'll see. This is definitely not the last Record Shop studio.
Cool.
I think it's a big part of my theme for 2022. I'm kind of putting together the big roadmap, which will go out internally first, but embracing these, more participation, more involvement, more ownership and co-ownership, and more of what makes Web3, more of the kind of decentralized and disruption of existing power structures in the music industry. I think this is kind of the tip of the spear for that. You may not have realized that when you were putting it together, or maybe, Peter, you're very smart, so you probably did. In fact, you're the leading voice in the company for doing that sort of stuff. I don't mind saying. So, but I think it also manifests itself in terms of the ways that we can start opening up the platform to non-curated, non-invited, kind of content providers, to come in, to create creators, to use the term that we use publicly. But essentially there's only so far we can scale with this hand-picked method that we use now, but once we open the doors for people to be able to kind of opt in, the question is, how do you keep supply and demand in check? And we have some ideas that hopefully we'll be unveiling at some point in the first half of the year, and I've alluded to this in the past, but I mean, there's a reason that I want players to have coins. The coins form the foundation for the intrinsic value of the collectibles. So if you have coins, you can invest in helping people create collectibles on the platform.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons we structured the challenge that way, right? That if only a few fans showed up, this would be a low coin value card in the end. And we
right.
were excited that that helped incentivize both the artists to go out there and get to hit their fans to come on board, which the Disco Fries did, and even the fans, because they're the ones that get the cards as well. And so they had a motivation to publicize it as well. And if you were in the Discord, you would see them saying, hey, we need more, we need 15 more to hit, that milestone. So I think the way you structure these things in the coins, so this card is going to be 100 coin value card.
So awesome.
It's that alignment of incentives that's super, super important to get right. And I'm the first to admit, that we don't have it right yet. Like we're still working on it. And, just to be real, there were a lot of questions, going on last year. Oh, I can say last year. That's so cool. About, why certain sets weren't completed, why weren't certain challenges, why weren't rewards, why isn't this creator or that creator more engaged or doing more stuff and whatnot. And I think part of what that pointed to, although it would have been difficult to get those words out of my mouth at the time, is that the incentives weren't really aligned the way that they need to be aligned. So part of what our journey of discovery this year is, in 2022 is going to be, is really finding those incentive structures that appeal not just to, speculators, but also to legitimate fans and the artists working in concert. And this Participate to Create initiative is like as sterling an example as you can get of that. It's actually artists and fans working together. I want us to explore the different ways that can happen. Some of them obviously are creative in that nature. Others are more like arrangements where, someone has material that they want to put out and they're looking for backing, some sort of crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, support. And I think it aligns incentives in such a way that it keeps supply and demand levels in check. I don't know. There's a lot of
about this card. Once it's out there, the Disco Fries could make that an eligibility for VIP, all sorts of things going forward. So there's lots of interesting ways that this can sustain value over time is what I'm super excited about. And as you said, aligning those incentives that have ongoing value, not just a one-off thing. I think that's one of the things we've learned from the NFTs. You do a drop, they get the card, and then what? I want something that has sustained value over time.
Yeah, that it has meaning over time, as opposed to just being a static piece of content. I think we're learning that's super important for sure.
Yeah, and I'm excited that the Disco Fries and Lena Leon are going to have their own handful to give out to, do whatever incentive that they want to do with them. Because I was talking to Peter this morning and I said, I never want to sell my card because I think it's so cool. My name's going to be on it. So I'm probably never going to want to sell that one ever. And but if I can do something to get another one from them, that I can then later sell.
There you go.
Yeah, there's all sorts of opportunities.
I'm gonna always want my one. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm super excited about is the flexibility, and I don't think we've tested all the different ways that we can leverage these kinds of assets. So super excited about pursuing this and continue to look to our community to give us ideas and our partners for, creative content and their willingness to take a little bit of risk, but also learn a ton in the process. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And huge shout out to Nick and Danny from Disco Fries for all the work that they did to put it together. They made it really easy. They were willing to be our test subjects.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's not finished yet. We're going to do a reveal of the final track. And that's going to be exciting. We're in the process of planning that. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop off. So thank you very much for having me on, Lisa and Obie and Chris.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so good
Peter.
seeing you always.
Yeah,
Peter.
thanks, Peter.
Okay. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. All
Awesome.
right. Just the three of us. Let me get our Mr. Obie nice and big.
Put him
So
up
we're
there
gonna
in
get-
the
yeah.
hot seat.
Yeah, we're getting y'all ready for our AMA with Obie, our monthly fireside chat, even though we already kind of had one right at the end of December at our holiday party. And I loved that conversation with Mickey from Dapper Labs and
It was awesome.
hearing his side of it as the person who works with partnerships within Dapper. So anyone in the comments who's listening in, our audience, if you do have any questions for Obie, please post them. But I'm going to start you off, Obie, with one that we are hearing today earlier in Discord. Withdrawals. When withdrawals?
All right. Well, first of all, I think this is a little bit of an open secret, but we have been helping some of our larger players with large balances to do withdrawals manually. This is a very time-intensive process that occupies a significant amount of time by our support team, and we are very, very stretched on our financial team side of the house. It's basically just one person with part-time help who's doing everything from payroll to a lot of HR to things like sending money out. We're working on that, and we have a new chief people officer coming who's ex-Tesla and ex-Apple. She starts officially full-time on Monday next week. So a week from now, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of our existing financial person, and that'll allow us to do a little bit more in terms of manual withdrawals. However, manual withdrawals, as the community knows from other projects, are by nature slow and time consuming and things like that. Even though the verification helps, it does not all the way. And the reason that withdrawals take so long is, one, we have to have a system that we can automate payments with. And the system that we chose to use, for better or worse, is called Circle Financial. They're the backers of USDC. And I don't want to get too much into gory details, but USDC is the backer for Dapper Wallet. It is strategically very important for us to get completely signed up with the APIs at Circle to be able to accept fiat and crypto in and send it out. However, as a result of this particular transition, which is very different than anything we had before, we have to set up a whole bunch of things that are not immediately obvious. For instance, we have to set up accounts so that the money that you actually have in your balance is not just the line in our database, a row in our database saying that you're owed this amount. It's actually a Circle account with crypto in it. And that means that the money that comes in has to get turned into crypto and has to be put into your account, and then you can take it out, which is a very long-winded way of saying that it is very complicated. And this is only half of the equation. And any of you that have been involved in startups before know that everything takes longer than you think it was going to take. And I do want to apologize for what I would call optimistic estimates about when we would be able to have an automated system in place. I did say before, this is half the story. The other half of the story is that we're trying to do withdrawals in a way that is a little more fun and more innovative than just going to a form under your account and filling out, how much money you would like to withdraw and whatnot. And without getting too much into detail, the amount of design and user experience work and programming that is going into that is taking a very long time. In fact, it's taking so long that, given that it's a new year, I had a meeting today with our CTO and sat down and said, what can we do to really, really simplify this, because it's just taking too long. So I apologize. I don't want to make any hard promises or anything like that. Like I said, we are already, for people that are OGs or that have large balances, we are on an invitation basis. Like I said, certain players, we are helping them cash out and giving them liquidity. I know this is not necessarily the optimal solution, and that a lot of people will probably be like, hey, why not me or whatnot? But it's just not scalable. And those are just hard constraints that we have. Like we're not generating so much money that we can just hire lots and lots of people to do a manual withdrawal process. We have to automate it. And the engineering and product amount of resources that go into creating that automated solution do take away from all the other cool things that we want to do. A lot of things that are near and dear to my heart. And we do have things that we're contractually bound to deliver, for instance, crafting, which might seem to be something that's just like a fun feature. However, we need it for the fat rat, or some of the things that they've promised their fans and that have put out. So we're juggling a lot of priorities. It's been hard. We have things going on behind the scenes that no one publicly is aware of. Challenges of different natures. We have quite a few people have come down with COVID, including at very inconvenient times. So we're dealing with that as well. I mean, we have people that just announced today that there's, hello, glad to be back. Also, I have COVID. So, stuff like that. So it's just the days we live in right now. And it's very, very difficult, and it's very exhausting. However, it is our number one priority, for this year. And we're working very hard on it.
Yeah. I think I'll just use the Nine Breakers follow-up question here. They asked, would it be fair to say that the current challenges are more technical or more legal in nature? Kind of sounded like both.
They're technical.
Yeah.
Oh, they're technical because right now, if you think about those of you that use NBA Top Shot, you buy into Dapper Wallet to get balance, and that's a full crypto system from the very start, and then it's already all integrated with Circle. So like once they got the workflow and the KYC stuff in place and whatnot, I think it was a fairly short bridge to automating it so that they could do payouts. However, for our initial version of the product, we didn't go with Circle. We went with Shopify, and all the money that we collect stays in fiat. It doesn't go to crypto. So we don't have good automated ways of programming all that. If for those of you that have some engineering knowledge and whatnot, and if you go look at what Circle is, it's in addition to backing USDC, it's a bunch of APIs or application programming interfaces that facilitate the creation of accounts and the movement of money on a programmatic basis. We didn't do that, so we're having to do all that, and we've been working on it for months. And it's just a lot of work. It's a lot more work than. I mean, I'm not going to say that we didn't anticipate that it would be a lot of work. It's just taking a lot longer than we thought it was going to take. We've had some challenges recruiting enough engineers, enough product people, just across the board. It's a very, very tough hiring environment. Technical specialists are very much in demand and very, very expensive. So, yeah, everything has been very, very difficult and very time consuming.
Well, and we also hear from a lot of our users, and I've said it myself, like I love that it was so easy to get into Record Shop as a user. It was, no barriers. You didn't have to have crypto. You didn't have to pre-fill a wallet. It was so easy, which was really, really appreciated. But now it's sounding like causing some headaches.
I want to answer one of the questions I saw there. I said there was speculation on artifact utilities. Been fun to speculate. However, it's getting a little stale on speculation. When can we expect more insight into what function the artifacts will perform? There is one particular fundamental mechanic, which is crafting. So shout out to Crafty Beard, Blue OG. That's putting together whether destructively or non-destructively, more than one card to create another card. And unfortunately, a lot of the artifacts that we have utility planned for involve crafting in some way or another, which means that until we roll crafting out, then we can't unlock the functionality for those other cards. And we've heard the community loud and clear about the importance of formal communications around artifact utility and like, you know, how the game works and everything like that, and not dripping and driving information out. So one of the things that's high on the agenda for this year is making sure that the right person at Record Shop is responsible for those communications, that it's done professionally, that it's rolled out across the board, you know, consistently when things are ready, in order to stop producing all this market volatility that just ends up pissing people off, you know, and being unfair. So, is the speculation getting stale? Yeah, I can understand where that comment is coming from, and we've slowed down with rolling out more stuff. There's basically enough artifacts out there, and the new packs that are coming out, if you see a branded pack, you know, that's a drop from a particular creator, it's probably not going to have artifacts. Once we get a lot of the game elements up and going, you'll probably see drops that are just artifacts, because the artifacts that we've dropped so far are kind of fundamental. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are kind of like fundamental little bits and pieces and mechanics of how the Record Shop platform works as far as collectibles. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg as far as how the like big, massively multiplayer online role-playing game involving nightlife works, which would have a lot of other moving pieces. As soon as we get to start working on that, then you'll probably see other drops that are like just those pieces, so that those people who are interested in playing the game and maybe don't care so much about the music per se can just participate in that without the other stuff. Anyway, that's a big, complicated story. I don't know that we want to rabbit hole on that.
It's good insight. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a question about rolling out regular challenges. Maybe we should bring on Leah sometime, our director of challenges, to talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be.
I want to respond to E-Dog. He said, I thought mystery, not knowing the way the game was going to play, was part of the fun excitement, which fueled speculation. I'm not ready to give up on that aspect of it, you know, so like I want us to continue dropping over time, like kind of new sets of artifacts that you get to speculate on what they would be for. However, that said, like I know that there's a lot of artifacts that have been out there, some of them, you know, from the very first drop, that we still haven't said what they do or what they're intended to do, because we haven't been able to follow through on actual functionality or actual physical world utility and things like that. So, you know, one of the ways we've been, I think, responsive to community is just to chill out a little bit with the new artifacts and the mystery and stuff like that, and be a little bit more clear about what things do. We might not tell you right away, but, you know, it's a balance, you know, it's a tightrope.
I think people like figuring it out on their own and having the secret of knowing how an artifact works without everybody else knowing. From Tubervision, can you talk about how much the total employees at the company has changed over the past few months?
Yeah, it's exploded.
Yeah.
We have a lot of part-time people, which is good in the sense that they're people that we wouldn't have otherwise because they need flexibility, you know, in their jobs. They just can't come full time or whatever. And if you count all those full-time people, we're at almost 100 people, which is amazing. Like we just had a Zoom call with like 81 people in, I think last week or something like that, which was really big. The other good thing is that it means that we have people in specialized positions that we didn't have before and we were really missing. So like, for instance, Lee Longden is our, I forget what her exact title is, but she's responsible for challenges. And I mean, she's just getting up to speed over the last month or so, but like as she gets fully up to speed, every drop from the very beginning of the planning stages will have challenges associated with them. that's so different. That's so different than the way we were operating before. I mean, we were absolutely flying by the seat of our pants, just to be perfectly transparent. And we would do a drop and then scramble to, do something with it. And it's a testament to how talented and hardworking the team was, to be able to even pull that off. But as you see, we made a lot of mistakes, in some cases just flat out fucked it up, to be blunt. There were some moments like, publishing something and then having to delete it, and, people getting upset because they lost money in the market, which I'm dreadfully sorry for. And we learned, which hopefully is the most you can. Hopefully the community appreciates that it's a startup. We're all learning. One of the things that I've had to, as CEO, learn, the hard way is just that we're all figuring it out. We're all figuring out, me included, right? Like, even though when I started, I kind of had this vision of what it would be, it's not that vision. Like, my vision of where we would be in 6 months is probably realistically where we're going to be like in 6 years or something like that. It's a grind. And it's hard. It's hard to suck it up, but part of that was irrational exuberance over like how fast everything moves in NFT, in the world of NFTs. I think part of that was, because we came out the gate really, really strong and kind of took off like a rocket ship. But, there's like the hype, the hype curve, Gartner hype curve, you go through like this exploding, hype, and everything seems like it's amazing and taking off. And then you go through a trough of disillusionment. And I think that's probably what we were going through in fourth quarter. And I think now what we have a chance to do in 2022 is to reset expectations to a certain degree. Yeah, we will lose probably some of the players that are a little more impatient, but that's okay. My expectation from the beginning, and I think I was pretty clear with this, is that those that have faith and stick with us as a long-term project, talking like 5 to 10 year project, will be rewarded greatly. Because we're still intended to be the future of music distribution and marketing. That hasn't changed, right? So presumably these digital collectibles that we have created now in these early stages of the company should still be worth quite a bit over the years to come. And I'm still 100% believer in that. And I know that those of you that are still 100% believers in that are still out there because you talk to me, personally on one-on-ones and Discord and things like that, and keep me going. So thank you for that. I'm really, really grateful for the support of the community that does still talk to me, personally and whatnot. And I also want to emphasize, I don't have Discord on my phone, so there's no more like filling in every spare moment in the community, because it was taking an inordinate amount of my time and attention. But at least once a day I'll pop open Discord and just kind of quickly scan through general, get a read of the room, occasionally say hello or whatever. So I'm not completely gone. But on the other hand, and I realize I'm rambling, I want to toss it back over to Chris and to Lisa. I think it's been good, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. I mean, you guys weren't able to really do your job while I was still kind of the main community dude, kind of like doing everything. And after a while, it became clear that was unsustainable and not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, great having you there, but yeah, it does make it tough, right? Because it would be like, well, okay, well, Chris said something, but I want to hear what Obie has to say, and that makes it harder because most of the time I'm trying to tell people what Obie will say, but to need two answers is difficult for people, I think, but no, I think it's been good too, and I think it's easy to be excited and to blow some things out of proportion too. A lot of things got turned into nuggets or got the word challenge attached to them that weren't challenges or things like that. So I think it's important that we are very thoughtful and careful about our communication. And I think we have more opportunity to do that now. And again, just like you said earlier, it's a balancing act too. We got criticism earlier today that the community team is too quiet. So, that's feedback for me to take back and to work on how we can be more engaging, without, it just being nothing but the community team talking in the Discord, because that's not really a community either, right? So how do we write that balance and start conversations without owning every conversation in the Discord is tough.
Yeah, I know, Chris, you put a lot of thought too into, like, we have not banned maybe a couple people, but really not many people. And, sometimes it gets a little rough. But we want to make sure that your voices are heard and that it's not us just saying, oh, we don't like what they're saying, like mute or push you to another room. Because it is valuable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I want us to do better in 2022 is processing the feedback, right? Like, I think because we spent practically all of last year kind of just trying not to drown in operations and everything that was going on, and and figuring it out. There were a lot of suggestions that were going unheard. There was like a lot of kind of loud and clear feedback that even if we agreed with it, we just didn't know what to do with or couldn't handle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for better or worse, part of being able to react appropriately to that feedback and process it and actually take it into account is slowing down and stopping and reflecting and moving pieces around. Like we're actually in the midst of kind of doing an org chart restructure, making sure everyone is in their proper place, and that just takes time. And during that time, unfortunately, you actually make less progress. So the people who are screaming, bloody murder and saying, why don't you just communicate better? Like, how hard can it be? It's like, well, we're doing things, like we're hiring people, we're restructuring, kind of changing, clarifying responsibilities for better communication. However, that takes time. It's not that it's like hard in theory, it's hard in practice,
Mm-hmm.
to actually get going. So what was useful for me was when I took a step back from Discord and didn't have my head in Discord all the time, is I was kind of able to get an understanding that no matter what happened in Discord, even if people were screaming and upset and, for a while, that was a necessary part of the process. That there would be a period of time where we wouldn't be able to do anything about that, and that was going to have to be okay. Because there was no other way around it. Because if I didn't take a step back from Discord and work on these things like a restructure and they're like putting the right people in the right places, the right communication plans in place, it just wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, which means the fundamental root of the problem would never get fixed. And if it never got fixed, then obviously eventually we're going to run that thing into the ground. So this is very much still an ongoing process, by the way. But, I think we all took a break over the holiday and, caught our breath. I took like 2-3 days off, and but most of the team took like, a full week off, and I think we're all recharged and kind of ready to go.
Mm-hmm. I think these in particular, these fireside chats are a really great opportunity to connect with you. This is technically the third one we've done now, if we include the holiday party. And I personally always love hearing what you're thinking, where you're focusing your attention. So I guess my question, since we haven't had any other AMA questions, maybe to wrap this up, in the next month or so, what are some of your big key things that you are looking into and going to be taking care of?
I mean, crafting is like so close. It's just a very
sweet,
very it's hard to operationalize things that like have actual users and like a lot of content and stuff like that. Like when I'm a programmer, right? So like when I think of what do I need to do to create a crafting interface, I'm like, yeah, so I need a frame here. You got to drop into here, and that's what this code would look like. In my head, I have an idea of like what the code would be and how hard it would be and whatnot. And I've actually written like some pieces of this stuff. Unfortunately, I don't get to code. anymore because I got to run the company. I'm choosing my words carefully because I don't want to give the impression that I don't admire what the engineering team is doing. Like, the engineering team is doing a great job. It's hard to do some of these things at scale and to do them right. You're talking about money involved, security, things that you can't get wrong. Otherwise you undermine trust and you fuck it up basically. And for whatever reason, the crafting has just taken a really long time because it's got a lot of complicated functionality, and it's super, super frustrating, but I think we're going to finally roll it out this month, hopefully sooner rather than later. And once that happens, you're going to see a whole bunch. I think we're going to be able to roll out a whole bunch of artifacts that have been waiting, right? Like, everyone knows what the fashionably late functionality is supposed to do, right? Like, it's supposed to give you access to things like airdrops and whatnot that you missed in the past. I mean, we've talked about that in Discord, and there's an idea about that. But how that has to work, right? Like, involves crafting. We've talked about at different times, like, converting cards from one rarity level to another, synthetic versus natural rares and things like that. That involves crafting. There's like so many different things that we've talked about. Even like some of the new areas that we want to explore in 2022 with like user minting of different things. Like, we have so many cool ideas waiting to come out, a lot of which are attached to existing artifacts. They're all depending on crafting. So I'm super, super excited about it. That's my long-winded way of saying I'm super excited about crafting, and hopefully it comes out in January.
Amazing. And I think that also answered the last when DJ profile pictures.
So I mean, we have an idea for profile pictures. We didn't, but we just haven't had the bandwidth to go with it. And true story, a friend of mine, an illustrator that I worked with in the past, I had him put together a proposal with ideas for PFPs, and I might drop some of the things that came back from that proposal, but we just didn't feel that they fit the brand. So I kind of put all my chips on this one illustrator, and 2 months later, it turned out that it didn't really work. So that could have been something. That could have been something cool, but it just, even though what he produced was cool, it just was not what we had in mind. So it happens, sometimes.
Angelica grabbed one of your quotes from today. It's not hard in theory, it's hard in practice.
That is a good one.
For sure.
Awesome. Okay. Well, everyone, this is a blast. It was fun to talk. So today we talked about Record Shop Studio with the Disco Fries. Heard a little bit about the withdrawals and about other plans for 2022 with Record Shop. I hope that got everybody excited, have a better understanding of where we're at and our growth. I'm very excited for 2022. I think I'm just so excited for everything that's coming down. Hearing the internal discussions and everybody coming back after having some time to take a little break. It's pretty exciting.
And we have started to get some amount of industry coverage, which is nice, because like, in my naive thinking of the way that things work, I was like, oh, so we'll launch Record Shop, and then like DJ Mag and Mix Mag will be like, oh, and like write big articles about us. And it turns out that it takes a lot of work to like cultivate those relationships and like get the PR firms up to speed and do the things that you have to do to like get them to even notice you. And today I had a big write-up published in Mix Mag that talks about just kind of my view about this whole NFT thing and everything that we're doing at Record Shop and whatnot. And that was super, super cool to see.
Pop that into the comments.
It's actually going to be in the print magazine, as far as I understand it, and like that's been months in the making. So it's just super, super frustrating how long things take sometimes, but it'll all happen this year, right? Like, and at some point I do think that we will hit some sort of critical mass tipping point and start becoming a thing that people kind of talk about more widely in the community. That definitely has not happened yet. And I was really hoping it would happen like 4 to 6 months ago, but it didn't. Whatever. But I do have full faith that'll happen. I mean, it's just I tell the team I think every week, one foot in front of the other, and it'll happen.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you said, if anybody missed out on the holiday party Fireside Chat, I really recommend going back and checking that one out. I think it was about 6 hours in or so. And Obie just talked about, I think one person asked a great question on if Obie saw Record Shop replacing Spotify or just being, I can't remember the word they used right now, but in cahoots or conjoining and having other experiences on Record Shop that you can't get through Spotify. And your answer was really, really, that helped me understand the direction quite a bit. So really recommend people check that out.
Cool. Thank you.
My good. All right. Thanks so much, Obie. Thank you, Chris. All right. Ciao, everyone. We will see you in a month, Obie.
All right. Thanks, friends. See ya.
Bye. Oh, I'm gonna raid someone. But I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, we gotta find a raid.
Yeah, I'll pop Obie off though. He can. I am DJ Drake. Here we go.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go raid and make sure you follow us.
Raid.
Thanks, Cade, for gifting some subscriptions. That's so sweet.
That's
Happy
nice.
New Year, everyone. All right, let's raid. Sick. All right, we're out of here, Chris.
Sweet. We did it. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah.